Hello, viewers of ITV Gold. Very excited to bring a great candidate who is Indian American, and she's running for Congress in District 10 in Virginia. Her name is Krystle Kaul, and please join me in welcoming Krystle to ITV Gold viewers. Welcome, Krystle.
Thank you so much for having me. Namaskar and Sat Sri Akal.
Yes. Namaste, everybody. And we're going to ask Krystle why she wants to run, what makes her a great candidate, and why is she coming forth for the Indian American community and the entire community in Virginia in District 10. So Krystle, tell us a little bit about her.
Absolutely. Well, I'll answer your first question. So I'm Krystle Kaul. I am originally from New York. I came down to DC when I was a teenager with an impetus to run from more than 20 years back. So there was definitely an intrinsic desire to want to run for Congress back then. And that was at a time when we had no Indian American members of Congress. So I went to American University. I studied international relations, women in politics. I was working on Capitol Hill back in 2004 for Congressman Marty Meehan as part of a Washington leadership program. It was a starter program through the Indian American Center for Political Awareness. I carried through that dream, that ambition throughout my studies and career at Johns Hopkins and my master's in international relations, my PhD work at Brown University Political Science, and I have committed my career to national security and defense. At the CIA, at U.S. Central Command, leading the ISIS crisis cell under Secretary Austin, our current Secretary of Defense, and Pentagon, and was one of the youngest directors sent to the DoD. I stand firm that we need more women in Congress and more Indian American members of Congress. And I'm running today in Virginia District 10, which includes, for those who don't know, it's Loudoun County, Rappahannock County, it's Fauquier County, about half of Prince William County, Greater Manassas, and a small sliver of Fairfax. So it's predominantly Ashburn, Sterling, Chantilly, Dulles, Warrenton, Manassas, and Fairfax. 44% minority district, 16% Asian, very heavy Indian American population. They call Ashburn here Little India. We have, it's really great to have all this diversity here. And the representative, Jennifer Wexton, she, due to health reasons, is not able to rerun. So it's an open seat. And this is a call for a strong female leader, and particularly a woman of color, to come in to fill her shoes. And so I have built a lot of support for my campaign. And I'm really proud to be the first ever Kashmiri American to run for U.S. Congress. And I currently stand as the only Sikh to run for Congress. I'm both half Kashmiri, half Punjabi. And I think that we definitely need representation for the community. So I'm excited. Election is tomorrow, and I hope people come out and vote.
So, Krystle, obviously you're very qualified to run for Congress and to support your district in all its complex issues. But I think it's also very important for our ITV Gold viewers to know that your Indian background, you're very committed to strengthening the U.S.-India relations when you enter Congress. So talk a little bit about that. What do you envision?
Absolutely. So I say to people, I'm not just Indian American by name, right, or by ethnicity, but I'm Indian American truly because I committed 3 degrees and my entire career at really looking at U.S.-India relations. So I've done so in my bachelor's, master's, second master's on the way to my PhD, at looking at India foreign policy, at the U.S.-India nuclear deal, strengthening U.S.-India relations by way of trade and defense. I've been a big advocate for a stronger defense relationship between the two countries, which is very evident in a lot of my think tank work at Rand Corporation, at Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, at Center for Strategic International Studies, especially at a time, again, going back almost 20 plus years, where we didn't really have much presence in a lot of these circles, and especially in terms of trade. So I run a company now, it's a defense tech firm called Krystle Clear Communications, and I really champion Indian American run companies, IIT alum run companies, minority run businesses to bring a lot of the technological know-how and IT skill sets we have to help advance the government's mission. I personally met Prime Minister Modi when he came to DC last year, which was a great honor. And I had the privilege to be part of some of the activities surrounding the G20 and the B20 summit in New Delhi. So I make it a point to travel back to India to be part of discussions with like the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum, engaging in these important discussions. And I say very firmly, the US-India relationship is the most critical relationship of this century, especially when it comes to defense and trade. I think that India is a natural ally for us, especially in the South Asian bloc. And India should be seen in the same way that Israel is seen in the Middle East. And I really see a strong relationship for the two countries in the coming years.
Okay, great. So I'm so pleased to hear you really thought about this complex and this very important relationship, not only for the present, but for the future of the world. You know, being partners with India helps the United States, being partners both ways. We're very, very connected in our goals. What I wanted to also ask you is that, as you said before, we need more women in Congress. We need more Indian Americans elected to Congress and to other offices. So we have now 5 members of this, what they call the Samosa Caucus. And what would you bring as the 6th member? Because I know you're going to win and you've been working very hard to all those goals of really addressing your district's needs. So tell us, what are some of the things you're thinking about?
Yeah, so again, so going back to what I was saying, I'm really proud of the 5 Indian American members who have made it as part of the Samosa Caucus. I do hope to be that 6th Samosa. And I think, again, what makes me unique is that I really have been looking at, again, the US-India relationship and also Indian American issues that affect us. So as I was saying earlier, you know, I think India is a great means of countering China, right? It's a concern of both India and the US. I really want to address the Kashmir issue. I'm actually the only person in the world who embarked on a PhD in political science in Kashmir, and I went and lived there. I would like to come out to champion a bill to recognize the genocide in Kashmir. I want to make sure that the Kashmiri American diaspora here in the U.S. Have a voice, that they're able to come and air their grievances, state issues, concerns. I want to fight back against discrimination that happens in schools. I still see bullying happening around the country. I faced it in school, and it really hurts me when I see young Indian American girls and boys who have to succumb to that. I think that I see targeting of mandirs, there's targeting of gurdwaras, there's vandalism that occurs, there's a sense of of safety that we need to bring to our people. And I think it's really critical that we have that representation, have that voice. I mean, Indian Americans have excelled across the board, academically, across so many industries. We're the wealthiest minority in the country, and yet we're the politically most underrepresented at less than 1%. So we should have several more members of Congress than we do today. And we do have several issues that we need to address. There's, for example, the Diwali stamp, I believe, took almost 12 years to get. But Diwali now just got passed as a holiday in New York. I'd like to pass that nationally. I'd like to pass Vaisakhi as a national holiday. I think there's a lot of efforts we can take to preserve our culture, to have a foundation actually that exists within Congress, to really preserve our beautiful culture and our heritage in the same way I've seen it happen with other communities. And that's why I think representation matters. There's an emotional sentiment that you have when you're from a particular group, that when people come to you and say, hey, this happened, at our local one, there was an act of discrimination, or I was targeted at my country club, for example, or my kid is targeted in school, that there is this sense of, I felt that too. This is my family. I've grown up in this environment. And I think that's why it's so important to stand up for your community. Tech immigration reform has to happen. Right now, there's the largest H-1B backlog and green card backlog is for those coming from India. And yet we provide such amazing skill sets to Silicon Valley and especially in technology here. So I think we definitely need to pass that. And I think that we just need a stronger voice in so many circles. It's important, and I think the time is now where we can do that. And coming in, hopefully here at VA-10 as a congresswoman, it wouldn't just be representing Virginia District 10, but coming in as a national voice to really represent Indian Americans around the country. And I think that it's important that we have that voice today.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I'm sure that sentiment resonates with all the viewers because, you know, we all need as much representation as possible. You brought up one point about the Diwali bill. So in 2021 in November, the Diwali bill was brought to the congressional floor by former Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, and I was the author of that bill. So it's a very near and dear piece of legislation to my heart because I, like you, like many other Indian Americans, feel that this is such an important holiday that if we could get it as a national holiday, that would be great. So I look forward to any efforts toward that, making it an actual national holiday. So, and I thank you for being so thoughtful about what the agenda is going to be, you as the Congresswoman of District 10, but you as the Congresswoman representing all Indian Americans in the 50 states, even though they already are some representatives, because you will be a very strong voice for all of us in all the multitude of issues that we deal with. So now tomorrow is the primary. So tomorrow, what we say is D-Day, because tomorrow is the day the voters decide in this open seat who will go forward for the election in November. So what you've already said it, but if you could just surmise, what would be some of the things you want viewers who, even if they're not living in Virginia, have friends or relatives or just anybody, they could say, hey, I just watched this great piece on Krystle Kaul. She's running for Congress. Here's why I think she's a great candidate. What would you resonate with the voters that you want them to leave with? That you have an opponent, so it's an open seat. Why you? Why Krystle Kaul?
Sure. Well, I'll answer it twofold. One, I haven't shied away from my identity at all. Not my religion. Growing up Hindu, Sikh, Kashmiri, Punjabi, I have spoken at several events. Ramayana event, Hindu Action events, the BAPS Mandir, with the World Hindu Council events. I was just speaking at a FIDS event a few days back alongside Rokana and Raja Krishnamurti. So I've been someone who's been very outspoken and coming out publicly, and I think that that's important. I think that's also very American. I think it's a very American core value to be true to who you are, to your religion, to your identity, and that is not something that has hindered me at all. In fact, I think it's only strengthened my candidacy. And I'm really proud of the fact that I've grown such a great grassroots coalition across so many communities, not just the minorities, but even non-minorities here. And that's because I come from such a strong defense background. I stand as a very proud national security Democrat. There are about 9 national security Democrats in Congress, and coming in with so many years of service, working, as I said, CIA, CENTCOM, the Pentagon, working with 2 secretaries of defense, 4-star commanders with the Air Force, and I've really fought to defend this nation. And that is a story that really resonates here, particularly in Virginia District 10, because as you know, this is where the Department of Defense is housed. So I'd say, a large portion of my district works at the intersection of defense and tech, cybersecurity, defense contractors, small business owners with defense contracts, defense civilians, veterans. So people really respect the work that I've done. They respect my service. And I think that it has really cross-cut so many communities. And my identity of being Indian American, or my identity of being Hindu Sikh, is who I am. And it is, I think that it's shown through in everything that I've stood for. So I'm coming in as someone who's very relatable, someone who really can represent the average constituent here in VA-10, and can also be a national voice for those Indian Americans who, don't have much representation. And I think one thing I'm really proud of is, and the one thing that I really think representation really matters, is for the next generation. I have inspired a lot of young Indian American boys, and particularly young Indian American girls, to want to go pursue the field of political science and international relations, to want to go run for Congress one day. And I think that's something that's not even just Indian American. It is something that every community, you can be Latino, you can be African American, you can be Vietnamese American. You need to see people that look like you in positions of power, so that you can know that one day that is a viable path. So I've been blazing that trail for over 20 years, especially at a time when people once told me that this wasn't a viable path, that there is no such thing as an Indian American in Congress, because in 2004 it wasn't a reality. And I had to fight back against that and say, well, if it doesn't exist, let's blaze that trail and let's get there. So I'm really proud of all the youngsters I've inspired around the country who've reached out. And I think that we, like all communities, need to have a powerful voice. It's definitely important. And we face discrimination like any community does. And it's time that we have that representation in Congress. I would be coming in as the first ever Indian American into Congress from the East Coast. We've never had representation from this coast. And I think that is really critical. I went to VA-10 as a kid in New Jersey. I learned Sanskrit at school, Vedic heritage. So I was in the Gurdwara every weekend and at the mandir. So I really hold true to my culture, to my religion, and to appreciating the values I grew up with. And my core issues, just to end on, gun safety. We absolutely need to have safer neighborhoods, communities, and schools. I think as a National Party Democrat, it starts with public safety at the community level. Second is fighting for reproductive health freedoms. As a staunch women's rights advocate, we need to cement our right to choose. I want to codify Roe v. Wade. Education. I think it's really important that we again, a very true Indian American ideal. We need to provide better skills training to our teachers and make sure that we, strengthen our schools as best we can. And I think that, again, having that national security defense background, I really understand the value of protecting our nation. And I would bring that real world experience into Congress today, especially with so many international crises happening around the world. We definitely need someone who has that experience. I've done 12 policy fellowships. I speak 9 languages, and I have in-country experience on 71 countries. I think that is missing in Congress, and we need someone to come in who can shed light on all of these important issues, emerging trends, technology, for example. So I really hope people will come out and support. And I'm a moderate Democrat, and I think it's important that we support our own. I really hope people come out and vote tomorrow. It's a very critical election here. It's an open primary. That means you can be a registered Democrat or a registered Republican in the state of Virginia, and you can come out and vote for me in this Democratic primary. And my website is Call for Congress, KAUL for Congress.com. So you can check it out, volunteer, please contribute. You can spare anything. We're doing our last big ad push out. If you want to come knock doors, that's the best way to contact me.
Okay, Krystle, I think you've laid out your platform and your vision beautifully, and I thank you for all your efforts and the hard work you've put into not only running for Congress, but organizing the entire community to kind of in the grassroots level help you. So that's quite admirable. And we wish you all the best, and I know you'll have great success. And to our viewers, thank you for watching, and thank you. Please give a shout out to Krystle with your friends and families. tomorrow is the big day for her. So to all our viewers and to Krystle, namaste. Thank you for
Namaste.
coming and have a wonderful day.
Shukriya, धन्यवाद.